What's up, real MVPs? Ricky Whitmer here, and welcome into the daily video where we take a look at the dampest of dudes, the soggiest of shooters, the moistest of men, and sometimes even the mistiest of misses. These are our Wet Boys. If you are new to Wet Boys, these are players of the day that we would love to give honors to from the day prior. So, for example, today is the 11th. We are giving nods and Wet Boy nominations to players who popped off on April 10th. How it works is everyone in MVP gets a vote. So myself, Dave, Jake, Soapy, all of the opportunity to nominate a Wet Boy. That is usually 4 locks for a Wet Boy. Then we also poll the patrons, silver, gold, and platinum at patreon.com/MVPvids to see if they have a nomination. That gets a possible 5 new Wet Boys each and every day. So if you want to get in on the Wet Boy nominations, go check out patreon.com/MVPvids. However, we also have a poll set up on our community tab to where we poll the non-patrons to see, hey, if you guys were patrons, who would you? Do you agree with any of us? Do you disagree with the patrons? We poll you guys too, so everyone gets their voice heard. We have 5 Wet Boys today. Well, technically 6, but I will get into that in a hot second. Let's start where we always do. Let's start with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Dave Oster. He's going with the classic. This is a Dave classic Wet Boy pick, and that's Jumpin' Joe Ingles. Jumpin' Joe off the bench. 20 points for the Jazz in a huge blowout victory. How many times have you said that this year? Jazz, blowout victory. They get the win last night. Jumpin' Joe off the bench. One of the reasons why. 20 points, 5 of 10 from the line, 6 of 11 from field goal range. And, I mean, let's be honest, field goal range is everywhere. I don't know what I'm doing with that. But 20 points off the bench, a big nod for Jumpin' Joe. Dave giving him the nod, which I believe is his second of 2021. I believe Dave gave him both of those. For Jake is staying. Jake had one way. He went with Steph Curry. Then he was like, wait, scratch that. Enes Kanter had 30 fucking rebounds in this game. Pardon my French, but Enes Kanter, 24 and 30. Where did this come from? Like, if you're on FanDuel and if you even put 16 plus rebounds, you're probably like, FanDuel, could you add a 25, 26, even a 28 plus rebound odd so I can make more money off of this? Enes Kanter has been a rebounding machine. Usually 10, 12, 14 or more is what you can expect out of him. But 30, I was not expecting that in this win. Enes Kanter, he gets the Wet Boy nomination from Jake for a hell of a game, 24 and 30 in the game. Then we get to my Wet Boy, and my Wet Boy is actually a pair of Wet Boys. It is 2, because there was a baseball game that happened yesterday that featured 2 pitchers that I feel like I was going to give it to one, and I was like, you know what? Both of them pitched very well. We got to do a duo thing, only because they pitched in the same game. And the first one is Jacob DeGrom. He went 8 innings, only gave up 1 run, struck out 14 batters, had a whip of 63. He pitched phenomenally, even though the Mets lost that game. And the second one was the guy he was going up against, Trevor Rogers of the Marlins. Only went 6 innings, still struck out double digits, still struck out 10 batters, didn't give up a single run. The bullpen even helped him out, where you look at it, DeGrom only gave up that 1 run. Bullpen let him up. Bullpen, they lost 3-0 to the Marlins. Rogers came out with that 0 in the earned run category, and the bullpen kept it there as the Mets were unable to score. This is one that I just saw both of them. I was going to give DeGrom the nod, and I was like, hey, you got to give, like, game's got to recognize game, right? So DeGrom and Rogers for the pitching performance, the spectacular that we put on, or that they put on. I didn't put it on. That they put on yesterday. I had to go ahead and give them both the Wet Boy nods, both their first Wet Boys of the year. Then we go to Soap. Soaps is going back to the hardwood, and he's going with a guy that he nominated not too long ago, and that's Gary Trent Jr. Gary Trent Jr., since coming over, and I actually made a mistake on the Wet Boy card. Pardon me. That logo should be a Raptors logo. I got the name right underneath the name, but I'm just not used to putting Gary Trent with a Raptors logo yet. So pardon me, Raptor fans. That should be a Raptor logo, not a Blazers logo. But 44 points. Dude, he's been popping off. Like Norm Powell and Gary Trent, they've had some pop-off games since being traded. But hey, let's be honest. That's just kind of what they do. So Gary Trent, Sobe, giving him the nod. 44 points in a blowout of a Blazer win. They actually play again tonight against the Miami Heat. And then we get to the patron pick. Before we get to the patron pick, I want to see what the community tab was thinking. So we had a couple options. We had 5 options on our YouTube community tab. And this is who the non-patrons think should get a Wet Boy. Steph Curry. I mean, Jake was going to give it to Steph Curry. But then he's like, whoa, I got to give it to Enes Kanter. Scratch that. I'm surprised here. Like Donovan Mitchell had a pop-off game. Steph Curry did. Bo Bichette getting some love. But there's one name on here that did not get any love from the community, but is getting love from the patrons today. And that is Jack Campbell of the Toronto Maple Leafs. You might look at that and say, hey, Ricky, he gave up 5 goals. Only saved about 84% of the shots against him. Why the hell is he getting a Wet Boy? This is a milestone Wet Boy. And yet again, this could be one that, I mean, I'm not a true hockey guy. My hockey team, I got to wait until next year to root for my hockey team. Go Kraken. I know this is a Longhorn thing, but I don't know what Kraken fans, I don't know if we came up with a hand sign yet for our team. But this is something where some people may say, well, Ricky, the team in front of them helps because, I mean, yeah, the goalie's the last defense of putting pucks into the net, but the team in front of them is good. That's why they're getting wins, but I don't care. This is a good Wet Boy from the patrons because this is one where he has won 11 straight games to start the season. That's an NHL record. He has now made NHL history to win his first 11 starts of a season. Got to give the nod to Jack Campbell. Got to give it. He gets, obviously, his first Wet Boy nomination ever, and obviously first one of the season. But that does it for our Wet Boys. This is where you guys come in, though. If you didn't vote on the community tab, let us know what you think of the Wet Boys. What do you think of mine, Dave's, Jake's, Soapy's, and then the patrons as well. Remember, if you want to get in on the nominations, make sure that your voice is official to where you're impacting who gets nominated. Check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/MVPvids. Otherwise, you can just vote on the community tab. Either way, you're getting your voice heard, you're helping us out, and we're seeing who the Wet Boy should be. I can't wait. Like, I just want to fast forward all the way to December to see who's going to be Wet Boy of the Year for each of the sports that we give the award out for. I want to thank you for being as great as you guys always are. And as always, have a good day, everybody.